this unknown pianist. Today we face the challenge of a world master. He politely extended his hand as a gesture of goodwill, but the master arrogantly lit his cigarette. Master doesn't look very good. My character doesn't seem to be good either, but he was the pioneer of jazz. Master, put the cigarette on the edge of the piano rack first, then quickly dance on the keys, hands light as butterflies, driving in stillness and drifting, ethereal and tactful. The continuous sound of the tune is like a spring winding from a secluded valley, slowly flowing. The audience is also deeply involved, be infatuated and intoxicated. A piece of music played by B, and thunderous applause broke out all around in an instant. What is even more shocking is that the cigarette ash is still intact. This is enough to demonstrate that the master's fingering is light. Superb track. When it's the male lead's turn, he looked melancholy on his face, but it seems to have a plan in mind. Then he naturally played a song on Christmas Eve, instantly whispering around. Constant laughter, and he himself was intoxicated with it. But after playing, everyone still politely gave applause. Coming to the second round, the master felt slighted. He took out his unique skills with a serious expression on his face. Beautiful melodies pour down from fingertips like flowing clouds and water. The sound is like the sound of heaven, simple and natural, interpreting the ups and downs and journey of the player's heart, integrating into the blood with new rhythms, make the audience burst into tears. Even the male lead was moved, tears streaming down my cheeks. After the master finished talking, applause thundered. He is still unsmiling. Be sure to win. What he didn't expect was, the male lead actually played his tune again. The audience looked puzzled, but the master was filled with fear, because Drukin is a master of improvisation. Even he himself may not be able to play the same performance just now, and the male lead only listened once and successfully copied it. What shocked the master even more was, the male lead also changed a few keys after the song. It has even added the icing on the cake effect, after playing. But there was a sigh coming from around, because the audience doesn't understand. This kind of replication is by no means ordinary. Third round. Master, I feel a bit embarrassed and angry. Put down the harsh words. Master hands caressed the face of the piano, condensing gas for deep contemplation. The sound of the tune suddenly resounded in the hall, tactful yet resolute, come after persuasion. It's like the secret charm of high mountains and flowing water. Despite the master's eagerness to win, too much emphasis on technical performance, but in the eyes of ordinary people, this is enough to be called a thrilling experience. However, this also completely angered the male lead. He picked up a cigarette and placed it on the edge of the piano rack, continuing to respect the teacher. His fingers quickly drifted between the black and white keys of the piano. The sound of the tune is as soothing as a flowing spring, the roaring deep sea, to sway one's heart and soul, shake the heart and soul. It's more like a group of frightened wild winds soaring, under the faintly audible bass background, flying up and down with flapping wings. Finish a dance. The whole scene was completely silent, dumbfounded. It seems that we haven't returned to reality from the melody just now. The male lead picked up the cigarette by the piano and placed it on the string. The cigarette was instantly ignited. This is enough to indicate that the male lead's performance has reached the limit of the piano just now. Subsequently, the male lead walked calmly to the master. It's okay. The audience is waking up like a dream. Thunderous applause. This unprecedented duel of tune masters suffered a disastrous defeat and returned home. The male lead also made a sensation as a result. Many record companies offer favorable conditions. Wanna lead him. All politely rejected by the male lead. In the male lead's heart, he only belongs to this cruise ship, because he was an abandoned baby thrown on a cruise ship, discovered by boy or worker Danny on a piano. Although Danny doesn't have much culture, but with a kind heart, after careful consideration, decided to adopt the boy, and named him 1900, based on the year of that year. That's it. Growing up under Danny's upbringing in 1900, the crew also loved him very much. Even the stern captain has a sharp tongue and a heart full of tofu, always scaring him, to drive him off the ship. But 1901 is not afraid. But the good times don't last long. In a storm, the iron hook in the boiler room suddenly fell off, hit Dandy's back of the brain. A few days later, I lost my only relative in 1900, becoming an orphan again. However, misfortune never comes singly. After a period of time, someone reported child labor on board the ship. As a result, the cruise ship just docked. So the police came over. They need to send 1900 to the welfare home, but the police searched on the ship for a whole month. I didn't find the figure of 1900 either. No one knows where he went. For a moment, everyone became worried, until one night, suddenly, a sound of tune came from the auditorium. Everyone was attracted to the past. Originally, it was 1900. His nimble little hands danced on the piano like a lark. Every note comes from within without any intention. No one knows how he dodged the search. No one knows how he learned the piano, although the captain has many doubts in his heart, but still speaking to 1990, a tumultuous river. Fuck the regulations. In 1900, he became the chief pianist on a cruise ship, and the captain even assigned him a trumpet player. Mike encountered stormy weather on his first day boarding the ship. The swaying of the ship's hull caused a tumultuous sensation in his stomach. Even the station is unstable. But this is a common occurrence for 1900. I saw 1900 swaggering into the auditorium. He wants Mike to experience a piano feast. Then in 1900, ask Mike to turn off the piano yarn. Toilet. This piano yarn is like a handbrake on a car. Usually, the piano is fixed by the piano gauze. After turning off the chain yarn, the piano slid in an instant. 1900 seems to be integrated with the piano. Being in it, waltz with the sea. Mike also quickly overcame his seasickness reaction, enjoying the feeling of dancing with the sea. But soon, the piano uncontrollably shattered the glass screen and crashed straight into the captain's room. 2 people were punished for shoveling coal in the boiler room. They have also become good friends who talk without hesitation. In terms of performance, the 2 of them are even more in harmony and cooperation. Let the wealthy forget their troubles. Being in it, I can't feel the passage of time. But in 1900 only in 3rd class would one play their own music, because it's only here. He would release himself with various extraordinary notes, achieving the unity of human relationships. There was an American congressman who wanted to listen to his music, and specifically went to 3rd class cabin. I even want to ask him to disembark and embark on a tour, showcasing one's talents to the world. But in 1900, I never thought of setting foot on land. Mike once advised him not to be buried at sea. Set foot on land. Not only can one showcase their talents to the world, I can still earn more money, endless glory to enjoy together. But 1900 still refused Mike's kindness, because during his performance, a story can be seen in the eyes of every wealthy person, although they may appear shiny on the surface. But in my heart, I don't show any signs of my own identity. And these different stories, it is precisely his creative inspiration. Since he doesn't want to get off the ship, there are record companies actively uploading. Ask him to record a legendary classic. When 1900 focused on creating, a figure outside the window attracted him, but a pure-looking girl was wiping her face against the glass. In the blink of an eye, there is a feeling of palpitations. His melody has also changed from the gentle and cheerful tone just now, becoming gentle and melancholy, and this touching melody is recorded on the record, becoming his pinnacle work. When it was learned in 1900 that this piece of music was about to be replicated in millions for sale, he immediately took the motherboard, because this is the love letter he wrote to the girl just now. Afterwards, in 1900, I often secretly observed girls, even often practicing how to strike up a conversation in front of a mirror. He wants to hand over his love letter to the girl himself. This afternoon, in 1900, I found the girl alone on the ship with a worried face. He mustered the courage to step forward. The girl gave him a wary glance. After hesitating for a moment, I was just about to open my mouth and give something to the girl in 1900. Unexpectedly, the girl's family suddenly appeared. That's it. 1900 missed a great feeling. Soon, the cruise ship arrives in New York and is about to dock. This also indicates that 1900 is about to separate from the girl. He was in a crowded crowd, locking the girl at a glance. Then he hurriedly went downstairs. No more expression. I'm afraid there won't be any more opportunities. I've been talking for a while, but not on the point, until the girl was dispersed by the crowd. He just realized it. The things haven't been delivered yet, but the girl has already been squeezed away by the crowd. I can't hear what he's saying at all. Under helplessness, the 2 had to politely say goodbye, and this budding love story, that's how it ended hastily. Under loss. In 1900, I broke this record and threw it into the trash can. All of this was seen by Mike. After a period of time, in 1900 he suddenly said to Mike, I want to leave here and head to New York, experience a new life. Mike is happy for him from the bottom of his heart, but I also know it well. I can't let that girl go in 1900. It's time to say goodbye soon. 1900 reluctantly hugged and bid farewell to everyone. In the heart of 1900, I have already regarded them as family, especially the old captain with a sharp mouth and a heart full of tofu. But as 1900 was about to disembark, it stopped again. He saw tall buildings towering in the city, heavy traffic, but his face was full of melancholy. Fame, wealth, compared to 88 keys. He finally waved off his hat. I chose the familiar latter. Not long after, war broke out. Mike was also forced to leave the cruise ship. Since then, there has been no news of 1900. Years later, Mike was forced to make a living by selling his beloved trumpet. At the moment of departure, he wants to use a trumpet to commemorate 1900, blowing up those love letters that were improvised in the 1900s. The boss heard this familiar melody. I took out the record that was broken in 1900, asked Mike about the author and track name of this groundbreaking masterpiece. When Mike dragged out the entire story of this record, the store owner was deeply moved. He told Mike, this record was collected by him from the ship. When the war broke out, the cruise ship was requisitioned by the government, but it's now scrapped, stopping at the dock waiting to be destroyed by the government. Mike realized that 1900 was likely still on board the ship, so I borrowed this record from the boss. Immediately rushed to the dock to search for it. 1900. He told the person in charge, there may be someone on the cruise ship, but the person in charge has already searched the cruise ship thoroughly. Now, except for explosives, nothing in the world. But with Mike's repeated pleadings, the person in charge decided to give him a data search for Mike holding a record and looping it around every corner of the ship, trying to bring out 1900. But after a day, I never saw the figure of 1900. Just as he was packing up his lost belongings and preparing to leave, 1900 finally appeared in a dark corner, card matching. This is what they said when they first met in 1900. After many years, two old friends meet again. Both parties understand each other's intentions. Mike strongly discourages returning to land in 1900. Don't even let me order. 1900 also has its own perspective. Actually, he had already made a firm decision to get off the ship that day. When he stands on the hanging ladder, look at the whole city with everything, only there is no end. On the piano in reverse, 88 keys are limited, but it can create infinite music on the keys. The keys under the spiral staircase are infinite. On such an infinitely large keyboard, he can't even play, because this is not a human keyboard, but God. Since the new era of 1900 is unique, Mike had to cry and hug him goodbye. In the end, there was an empty shot in 1900. Leave forever in this explosion.